G'day guys, we'll start in a few minutes. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Um, if those of you who don't know me, I'm Ty from Leader Computers in Melbourne. I look after all of the 3CX, Breeze Connect, and Yealink pre and post sales, as well as some technical support stuff there as well, coupled in with Ubiquity. Yeah, super excited that you all can come today. For those of you who missed out on the Leader Expo presentation, I'm going to cover sort of parts of that, but I wanted to just sort of dive a bit deeper into common issues that come up in terms of questions from partners that we get a lot of the time and how we can best sort of answer those in a group setting. For those of you who aren't partners already for Breeze, you can join up here through the partner registration link. breezeconnect.com.au, up to the partner button, then the registration here. Fill that out, and I will approve that and send you through your details. Once you're signed up, you will have a screen which is very similar to this. So this is your partner dashboard. Essentially, your partner dashboard is where you provision, manage your customers, manage all the trunking DIDs, and complete all your number porting in there. So essentially what we've done is we've made you the telco where you can provision your customers real time. You can set up all of their services and basically manage it all without contacting us or being tied into a telco in that regard. Just some housekeeping before we start. So if you've got any questions as I'm going along or anything in particular you want me to show, just pop that into the questions box and happy to help there. So what are people doing at the moment? So you can see here that I've got all my users, and these are some of the users I set up at Expo that's just gone. But in terms of how you manage this part of your business, this is a question I get asked a lot. So should Breeze Connect bill your customer? How do I basically make money out of the service? And how do I go forward and scale? So these are pretty important things to think about when it comes to how you're going to offer your telephony and how you're going to make a lot of money out of it. So what I'm seeing a lot of is people setting up their customers in here, adding in the PBX into their managed services portfolio and billing that out. okay? Charging for the license, charging for the phones, and then just charging for some support. Now that works. If you want to take it to a different level, you can set yourself up as a user in Breeze Connect, then put your customers as trunks on your or under your account. So Breeze will bill you, you'll get the 20% rebate, then you can couple all of that in together in terms of providing it as a managed services kind of model. So that model for MSPs out there, or that model for people starting out that want to retain all the billing and all the control, your customers will basically see, okay, ABC Computers is offering me a phone system, handsets, management, hosting, and updates, and they handle the whole thing. So Breeze Connect won't be billing your customer. There are some pros and cons for both, so I'll go through those in a minute, okay, and show you how they work. The next question I'm getting a lot of, okay, from Damien. If we bill our customers directly, do we need to register with the TIO? So absolutely you do, and I'll show you through here on how to do that. So for those of you who don't know, the TIO handle compliance and complaints from customers. And if you have a look on the TIO website here, you'll need to register with them if you're not already. And you can see here under the members section here, anyone who is a member of the TIO, their details are held with the Telecommunications Industry Ombudsman. So if your customer has a complaint or a dispute and you're providing their services, then they will know who to contact. Okay, so if we look up here, Breeze Connect in the list, you'll see here that we'll be listed down here. Let's have a look here, Breeze Connect, there you go. And if you click on those details there, that'll have who the person needs to be contacted for customer service, and then the TIO will know that way who the best contact point is. So free to register, and you need to do that for your customers. So yeah, good question, Damien. So once you've done all of that, you're doing the billing, how do we bill you? Okay, so we bill you through a Xero link that we have built into the Breeze Connect portal. So from what I can see, I haven't done yet with anybody, but we might be able to set up the Xero partner network where we can actually push the invoices directly into your Xero instance. So if you are using Xero, please contact me and I can try out the network partner key. So that way that your bills get pushed automatically into Xero, you can rebuild them or modify them and then send them out that way. It's probably the smartest way forward. New services, I'll just move over here. Screen. So what we've done here is we've actually added some new plans in. So I don't know if everyone has seen that in the portal. If you're having a look here at the trunk settings, we've added in a one-line plan down the bottom here. So if you are setting up a fax or a gateway or anything along those lines, yeah, use the one-line saver plan down the bottom, which is $8 a month. That is going on the web very shortly, but you won't be able to see that under the pay-as-you-go plan. So here. So you'll see here we've only got the two-line. The one-line plan will be going in there as well. The other question I get a lot about is faxing. So how does faxing work? How does faxing connect? So I'll go through those very shortly and how I suggest you set up your faxing and how you can link it in with 3CX through a few kind of trick methods, if you like. The other plan we're going to be adding in very shortly, we'll be adding in a one-line unlimited plan. So that is coming in the next week or so, and that will give you a bit more flexibility in that regard, so you don't have to buy two lines for that. As always, if you have any suggestions or any ideas regarding plans and packages that will make you more competitive in the market and you think would be advantageous to your offering, please come to me and I'll be able to have a look at them. The next thing with porting, a lot of people are getting the porting much better now. So as always, once you do submit a port, if you're not sure, come to me and I can have a look at that. Another question we're getting asked a lot about lately is 1300 numbers and how they work. So a lot of you may have seen, or a lot of your customers will come to you wanting a phone words number, but won't be too sure about how it works or how the ownership kind of part of it takes place. So basically, there are two things with 1300 numbers. There are customers who own the number, and there's customers who lease the number. So people who are leasing it, essentially they are stuck with the telco they're leasing it off. So if you do have customers out there that are, maybe with a 1300 provider that want to move to Breeze, you need to make sure that they own the number, that they're not leasing it. If you've got new opportunities where a customer wants a 1300 number, wants you to go out and actively look for it, or wants to have a look online, they need to go to the numberingsystem.com.au. So up the top here, you'll see that this is the step-by-step process. What I tell a lot of partners to do, you set up and register with the Smart Numbers account, and it saves your customer that $35 fee every time. Then you can charge your customers the $35 as they would have had to pay it anyway, and that can be an additional revenue stream in that regard. Question from Dean, can customers break their own leases? So would that be in relation to a 1300 number? Okay, so if a customer's leasing a 1300 number, and I use the word lease as an example, but if they're with a company that do 1300 numbers, they're paying $50 a month. That includes the 1300 number and includes the calls. If they want to go with you, Dean, okay, they can't move because they don't own the 1300 number. Their telco does. So their telco bought the number, and their telco is basically releasing it out again. Now, there are some exceptions to that, but most of the time, that's not the case. If you want them to go with Breeze for everything else, you'll just need to change the default answering point to be one of the Breeze Connect numbers. So like for this instance here, if ABC Childcare had a number with, let's say, Engine that they were leasing, they can just change the default answering point to here, and off they go. So essentially here, that's how they're the most common questions we're getting asked, and basically people are seeking clarification all the time. So the 1300 process is a little bit confusing, and Dean's just said here that a guide would have been good on the numbers. Thanks for the feedback. I'll get that done next week. So a 1300 guide and a 1800 guide. So Breeze Connect can host both those services. So you'll see here in your 131 1800s, once you've got a 1300 number, it will be here and it'll be linked to the trunk. So all the 1300 services are available on the web. So if you go to the Breeze Connect website, shoot up the top to inbound services, that's where you'll get the rates. So no setup fee for both services, and you pay a cost to receive. So essentially a 1300 number will cost you 8.5 cents a minute to receive a call. The end user, or the person calling the number, will be charged a flat rate from their carrier. So they'll be charged 20 or 30 cents, okay? And off they go. The monthly fee to host the number is $10 per month, Nathan, for that one. So both the same for a 1-800 and 1-300. Essentially, the 1-800 is a little bit more expensive to receive, and that is because the calling party or the person that's picking up the phone won't be charged anything at all. So obviously they have to recoup some costs for that. So they're your two inbound service numbers, okay? Or your two inbound service types that you can go for. So yeah, so get registered if you're not already. Get registered for the numbering system. Shoot out an email to your customers saying that, hey, I can get your 1300 number. If you'd like me to bid for you, I can get it for $250, or they start from that price. You'll own the number and then sell them the benefits that way, as opposed to leasing it through someone else. If you did that for 10 customers, that's $350 in your pocket straight away, even if you just charge them the $35 fee. So super easy way to make some money out of that. Plus, you'll be making margin every time they receive a phone call. You'll be making 20% of 8.5 cents a minute on every single call that comes in. So 1-300 and 1-800 numbers are a really good way to make super margin and to do really well out of that. And customers typically like them, okay? And the reason why customers like them is it makes their business look bigger than what it is, okay? And it means that if they're a national company, that they can receive calls from all around Australia without having a local prefix or looking like they're only sort of tied to Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, etc. The other thing that I'm finding a lot of people have come to me and asked about is routing with 1300 calls. So you'll see here, if you look at a map of Australia, we've divided the area up into multiple regions or multiple areas in regard to 1300 numbers. So essentially, you've got your state-based routing. So if you're calling from Queensland, NT, WA, South Australia, then it routes a certain way. So if you had a customer with a national presence, let's say we had a customer, let's even say Leader Computers, okay, as the example. So customers that are calling Leader's 1300 number that are located in Victoria will be routed to the Melbourne office, okay? People in South Australia routed to the Adelaide office. So we can support that kind of sophisticated call routing. It's a manual process if you email me, but we can implement that for you. So just like Pizza Hut do, if you pick up the number and dial Pizza Hut, it'll be your local Pizza Hut or local Domino's that you get put through to with that 13 or 1300 number. So really good way to do call routing. I had a customer the other day that was doing car hire that needed something very similar, and we can definitely support that for you. So no problems at all there. All right, so sort of covered inbound services. We've looked at, plans and packages and stuff like that. The next thing I get a lot of questions about is the 3CX partner program, how it works. Now, a lot of it people went through yesterday with Yilmaz, and I sort of want to go through that again and have a bit of a chat to people about how that works. So you'll know that when you're a 3CX partner, you can log into the 3CX customer portal, and the 3CX customer portal is there to give you access to, I'll quickly log in here, give you access to all the tools and resources that you need for that. Question from Darren, why wouldn't 3CX handle that with the call routing? Okay, yeah, super awesome question. So there's two ways that 3CX won't handle it. So if Darren's probably talking about setting up an inbound rule here and basically having a rule that was saying if the person was calling from a Vic number, New South Wales number, handle it this way. So there's a few issues with that, okay, which I'll explain here now. So issue number one, if they've got a private number, okay? If they've got a private number, 3CX won't know. All right, that's probably the first thing. Number two, if they're calling from a mobile phone, okay, 3CX won't know either, like where they're based. So that's another problem. With the mobile phone numbers, we're better off doing it at the carrier end because we'll know basically where they're located. So the way the 1300 numbers work is that the regions are divided up, okay? So if I go back to the map here, they're not based just on South Australia, they're both broken up into mobile areas. So if I have a look here, there might be one area here, one area here, one area here. And those mobile regions then determine where the person's calling from, where the call's going to be routed. So whilst 3CX can do some basic, inbound rules that are going to determine the routing, it can't necessarily go the full way. So if you required, that state-based routing, no one was on private number, you didn't have to consider mobiles, then that would be cool. If, that's not always going to be the case. So keeping the carrier doing it is a much easier way or much more reliable way of doing it in that regard. All right, so I'll go back to the 3CX login here. Now, a lot of people are not linking their 3CX systems with their partner account, and they would have received an email today from 3CX saying your partner account is going to be disabled, you don't have any customers. Now, for those people who haven't done it, you'll see up the top here that you've got your partner ID up here. So mine is 226659. Okay, so if I write that down, okay, and I go back across to the 3CX phone system here, at the dashboard, please make sure that you link, okay? I'm going to unlink this one just quickly to show you. Please make sure you link the 3CX instance with your reseller. So I'll put in here 226659 and I'll press OK. And I've been linked to Leader Systems, okay? So if you don't link it here, you won't be able to see it or you won't be recognized for selling it, okay? Now, we've had a huge amount of partners be promoted in the program, so, and a lot of them aren't quite sure. Now, we had a Facebook competition today, which we're going to draw at the end for a Sennheiser headset, and I think what else did we include in there? It was a front row camera as well. So if you haven't already, please upload your certificate there, so I can give it away at the end. So essentially here, make sure you're going through and doing the certifications here. So the 3 dots at the top, a little bit hard to find. Go through and take the test here and make sure that you pass all of these, okay? The Academy website here with all the training material, the biggest thing I get for support is that people haven't either done the training or haven't had a look at the manual, okay? Do the training here, do the certification, and you'll find that when you go and install a system, that you understand how it works, what it's about, and you can actually relate to your customer a lot easier in terms of putting in things that they're going to need or things that are going to work perfectly for them, as opposed to maybe doing a bit of a hack install or not necessarily setting up towards best practice. So the best practice things, what am I seeing that's not best practice in here? So we all know how to set 3CX up. So, set up the system, via either the PBX Express tool, which we can go up to here, go to deploy. And we all know how to follow this through. So I've shown everyone before how to set up a new license by using the create new key that gives you the 16 simultaneous call standard license free for the first year. People know how to go through this and then link it up with their favorite cloud provider, be it Azure, Google, AWS. So people are fairly familiar with this process. The biggest question I get asked is with Azure, where do I get the details from? Where do I get all of the subscription IDs and all that kind of stuff? So what I've done is I've logged into my Azure portal here that I've got for a demo, and you'll see here underneath the cost management and billing area, this is where I pull out the subscription ID. So back into here, you'll see here subscriptions, and I can basically copy that subscription ID here, and I can then use that in order to put into 3CX. So this one here I've got in CSP, okay? You've got 2 sort of options with this. You can use your Microsoft partner credits in Action Pack, or if you're transacting in CSP, you can use it in there. If you're not transacting in CSP, you'll need to purchase through the azure.com website, okay, and set it up that way. But subscription ID is here, and once you verify that, you'll obviously have to then authenticate with your Azure credentials and then go from there. So back into the 3CX portal, okay, and the 3CX phone system, everyone can pretty much get it to this point. That's not necessarily the problem, or that's not necessarily the hardest point out of it. It's getting it set up so that it's going to suit your customer and going to be working 100%. So I've seen a few of this, but extension 000, okay, and I'll set this up for you now. If you have that extension there, your customer won't be able to call emergency services. So if they've got someone in the office is sick or injured and they call that number, they'll get that person answering the phone, which is not a paramedic. So super easy way to do this. Out of the box, 3CX likes to start at 000. I always start my extensions these ways for best practice, okay? So I always start with three or more digits, okay, and I always start at extension 100. All right, now that's not necessarily the only way to do it. My rationale behind this is if I've got multiple offices, I've got office 1, office 2, office 3, I'll start office 1 at 100, okay, 101, 102, 103. Office 2, I'll go 201, 202, 203. Okay, so you can see there, just by looking at the extension, I'll know who's in what office. Okay. Likewise with ring groups, I know the ring groups here start at extension 800. In this kind of scenario here for Office 1, I'll make a ring group for Office 1 as 810, okay, 811. Office 2, I'll make 820, okay, 820, 821. A question here, make sure you skip 112, is that its emergency number? Yeah, exactly. So you can skip that one as well, though most people are going to be calling 000 if they've got an emergency. I don't think people will be calling 112 that often. I mean, I don't really know. If I asked everyone in the office here, what's the emergency number for Australia, I don't think anyone would tell me 112, but 100% you can feel free to skip that number just to make sure that it doesn't conflict with the system. So if you keep your system nice and neat like that, when someone calls up for help, you'll be able to help them super fast, because you'll know if you see a ring group 820, you'll know it's for Office 2. It's for people in Office 2 who are part of that ring group, and a super easy way to keep your system organized as opposed to having extensions, all over the shop. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of is people who hate the mobile client, okay? So they hate it ringing while their desk phone's ringing. They get a little bit confused with it, and I'm probably like that at Leader as well, So basically, how do you set the system up so that it works a bit nicer with mobiles? So for example, for that here, you look at this extension here, 100. If I register my mobile phone with that, my Yealink phone, I've got my soft phone on the computer as well here, which I'll drag over. Okay, it can become a bit messy in that regard. So what a good way of doing it is set it up so that your mobile or your desk phone rings here, and set up a second extension for your mobile. Then you can have it routing to that during particular hours. So if you've got a small office with 3 or 4 people, that's kind of an easier way to do it. If you've got an office with 300 or 400 people, then you're not going to want another 300 or 400 extensions. Okay, you're going to have to find another way to do it, or another way to kind of set that up. But if you're doing a kind of bespoke system where you've got multiple directors, or 3 or 4 directors, and 5 or 6 staff that are kind of fairly needy customer, and you want to make it as tailored as possible, set it up like this. Okay, so you've got here extension 100. This particular person, we're going to call them Bob Jones. Okay, so Bob's going to have his Yealink T42 registered to that phone, but Bob's also got a mobile as well. Okay, so what we can do, that's Bob's mobile here. Okay, so we're going to call it Bob Jones mobile. So you can see here, for Bob Jones's mobile here, if I go into Bob Jones, okay, set up the forwarding, what I can do is say, okay, if he doesn't answer his phone within, say, 10 seconds, being his desk phone, okay, we're going to forward it to his mobile client, okay, that's running on his iPhone or Android. So that way, he's always going to pick his desk phone up. If he's not in the office, then his desk phone will ring for 10 seconds and it'll go to his mobile. Or he can obviously change his different statuses here, so it forwards straight away. So you've got to think about 3CX and think about other ways to do things, or other ways to utilize the system to do exactly what you want, as opposed to it just saying, ring my mobile after ringing my desk phone for 10 seconds, tick, click here. So there are different ways to do things if you kind of think outside the box and think about what your customer needs and how you can mold the system to do it that way. The really common thing I'm seeing here under the phone provisioning is this. The soft phone out of the box, and I'll pick an extension I haven't modified, or pick up a new one. So I'll make this extension 200, okay? All right, so click OK on that. You'll see here out of the box for the soft phone that it wants to use the GSM FR codec. That is the worst quality audio, and you'll have a horrible time hearing people and being able to understand even what they're saying with that codec. So essentially out of the box, 3CX will set up this particular extension for the 3CX client, okay, using that extension. Now, if you have the soft phone on your mobile and you haven't played around with the codec order or the codecs, and you go to make a call, you'll barely be able to hear anyone. It's horrible. So, you know, like I say with the Yealink phones and all that kind of stuff, please make sure that you're using A-Law and U-Law, okay, at the top there. I would remove GSM altogether from there, okay? You don't need it. It sounds horrible. It's ultra low bandwidth and not required. So keep your A-Law and your U-Law up the top, and you'll have a much better audio experience versus those nasty codecs. So once you've set that there, please make sure if you've got, say, 2 phones registered, which you know here, please be advised that the codecs are based upon the phones. So you'll see here, even though my Yealink phone is set to be A-Law or U-Law here, when you change it to the 3CX client, it's set as GSM still. So you need to make sure that the GSM codec is set or removed from both of those phones. So remove it from here, go back up here, A-Law, then U-Law, 729, 722. So super easy way of doing this, or basically getting your customers imported into the system, is to use the import export tool here. So if I click on an extension, export, open it up in the CSV, what I do is, and what I've done with a lot of you on the phone is, grab that here, copy the settings now for that customer, and then paste it down like this. Then you can go through now and you know that all the settings and what's been set here is going to be nice and neat across the whole system, okay? So you're not going to have, you know, a million different settings. Set one of the extensions to your baseline of what you like, then go through and just copy it down the list here. So if you've got to put in 50 extensions, 100 extensions, who's got time to click one by one going through here when you can just import it into a CSV? So getting smart about the way you set them up can mean that you can get the system up, get it deployed, get onto your next one, and essentially make more money. So next thing that I don't see a lot of people using, okay, which I think you should be having a look at. Really cool feature in 3CX, okay, for the voicemail. You'll see down here, it has voicemail transcription. Now, I don't see many people using this. This is a super cool sales tool using the Microsoft Speech Service. So you'll see here, 3CX can automatically transcribe a voicemail and to text and include it in the email. So super cool sales tool. Click on the voicemail transcription and click here, okay? Now it'll bring up the 3CX website that basically explains how it works and what you need to do to activate it. So you'll see here, using the cognitive services inside Azure, it will use the Bing Speech API in order to transcribe my voicemail, okay, that I leave for someone, into text that they'll receive. So when you receive the 3CX email that says, you've got a voicemail, here's the WAV file, it will actually transcribe the text, okay, that way. This is a really good way if you've got busy users or busy office where people are always on the phone, you get a voicemail come through as an email, pops up, you can't listen to it while you're talking to somebody else, but you can read it. So if it's urgent or there's something that's you need to action straight away, whilst it being transcribed might not be 100% accurate, it might not be perfect, at least you know who called, what their number is, and you get a gist of the message, okay? And that gist of the message could be enough for you to look at straight away and go, oh, that's urgent, or that's something that I need to action straight away without having to go and dig through your voicemail. So awesome way to set that up. All you need to do inside Azure is set up the Bing Services API. So if I go back into my Azure portal here and I go to all my resources, I think I've got it set up in here. Let's have a look. Go back to here. All right, so if I type in here, Bing, so it comes up here. Bing Speech, here we go, Bing Speech API. Okay, cool. So the Bing Speech API lets text or voice be changed real time, okay, or near real time to be converted. So I'll click on the create button here. Nathan, I believe the speech service is free if you fall under a certain number of voicemails. So yeah, it only needs to be on the free tier for that. So if I click here for the pricing, yeah, here we go. The free tier is 5 calls per second, okay, which is going to be a lot or enough for most people there. So that should be heaps, okay. So I'll call it here my 3CX webinar demo. Okay, I'm going to put here at the top. Okay, pick your subscription. So if you're a partner and you're transacting with your partner credits, even though it's free, put it in there. I'm in CSP, so I'm putting it under Azure here. Create new, bang, that will set it up in Australia East. Okay, so that's Sydney's data center for Azure. That will create it. You'll see up here with the spinny wheel. It's not spinny wheeling yet for me. That will set it up. Okay, cool. Here we go, deployment in progress. Once that's deployed, I then will have the API keys. So you'll see here, it's spinning up for me. It will take a few minutes to go through. Let's refresh that now. So once that's deployed here, if I click on my webinar demo here, okay. And I'll have my API keys. So if I click on keys here, okay, it'll generate me 2 keys. Grab the key, go back to 3CX, paste the key in, pick the number from Australia so it recognizes my voice properly, and then click OK up the top. That's it, done, okay? So moving forward, when your customers have a voicemail delivered, say for Bob Jones, okay, voicemail, email options, send voicemail as attachment, okay? That will send the voicemail as an attachment, include the translation underneath it, okay, and leave it on the phone. If you don't want it on the phone, say delete from mailbox as well, and that's it, you're set up. So it's a really nice feature for customers that are running 3CX. You might not have known about it, okay? Really good way of moving forward with that. The other thing I'm seeing a lot of is updates. So I'll go back up to the updates up here. So 3CX will not support you and will not give you any support whatsoever if you don't have your system up to date. So up to date means everything apart from the beta update. So everyone would have seen update or beta 5 come through the other day that includes some updates for the system, including some of the prompt set changes. It's particularly around please wait while I transfer your call. So some of the prompt sets that were coming through from that. So they've been removed and cleaned up. There's also a lot more shared parks in the system. I believe up to 250 shared parks now. So little changes that were affecting some customers, they've been implemented into the system. Keeping your system up to date is critical. So if you want to have it automatically updating, please don't do it during the day while your customer's working. Set it for a time where everyone's going to be out of the office. Mine here set daily at 3 a.m. So these are things to check when you're doing your housekeeping, when you're doing your 3CX setup. This should be part of your checklist to make sure. All right. Next question I get asked all the time, decked handsets. So you've purchased the Yealink W60 or the W56H or 52, and you go into your phones in here and you can't see it or it's not working. All cordlesses are set up via the FXS and decked button here. So add your FXS decked, pick your base, okay? And then, so it's either W60, 56 or 52, and you pick that, put the MAC address in. The handsets don't have MAC addresses, only the base does, because the base is the only network device, okay? The handsets themselves, okay, connect to the base via decked. So the next cool thing we're getting decked-wise, okay, we're getting the new Yealink decked phone, okay? I'll show you guys here. That's coming in very shortly. I'll bring that up here. It's announced overseas and coming in. I think I've got photos here actually. We'll bring this up. Okay, so for the customers who can't do any cabling or have any issues around that, we're getting this new one in from Yealink, the W41P. I've quoted a few jobs with it already. We're waiting for stock to come in. This will give you desk phone functionality, okay, without having to have any PoE switching in place or anything like that. You'll just need power to the phone. So like it does, like the W60 base works with the handset here, this will be able to connect via DECT back to that same base. So you might do a combination of W60 handsets with that base with a few W41s, and that way you can set one base station up, put all your phones around the office, and you don't have to worry about cabling and all that kind of stuff, or setting up a Wi-Fi network or Wi-Fi infrastructure. So all the functions work, Darren, as per the phone. So you do call parking, you can do transferring, all that kind of stuff. So it's a fully functioned phone, just like it would be if it was plugged in. How many phones per base? Okay, if you go back to 3CX here and you added in a W60 base, which I'll go here, in here. I can never pick a right MAC address, which was fine. I think I've got it listed here. I think it's 8 in total, and I've got the list here. It's either 8 or 10. Yeah, it's 8 units. Okay, so 8 handsets, 8 accounts, and 8 concurrent calls at once. So obviously there is some contention with this. So you couldn't have each phone supporting, multiple kind of concurrent voice calls, but you do get the functionality of, if you're all on the phone at once, the base can support it. So if you had, for instance, a requirement for more simultaneous calls, then just put 2 bases in. The next thing we get asked a lot about is with the Yealink phones. Okay, while I'm in here as well, the DECT phones here for Yealink are brilliant. Okay, so these are great for small business, super cool, easy to set up. If you're doing bigger jobs, the SNOM multi-base handsets are a more appropriate choice. Okay, we have these. They're not on the dealer shop. We can get these in, and I'm quoting a big job at the moment with them. These work like a 4G tower. So your M700 base, think of that as a Telstra 4G cell, okay? These can scale to 253 base stations, okay? 1,000 handsets, okay? And it will do roaming between all of them, okay? So it'll hop from each of the units, okay, across. So these are for your nursing homes. These are for your hospitals. These for all those scenarios, okay? And I'll paste everyone the link for this one as well. All right. Everyone should have that here. That will work, okay, across the board. So these plug in and mesh, okay? So basically, this unit here will work with the M6585 unit. This is a ruggerized unit that basically can be dropped and smashed around, about double the price of the M65. So I'll shoot out the pricing for this from SNOM. We're seeing a lot more applications for these 2 phones for the bigger jobs that Yealink can't support. So Yealink's good for your, small business, beautiful handsets, great range, but when you need to go for bigger opportunities, the SNOM range really kills it in terms of the handset. So ballpark on the base station. Ooh, good question. I'll have to go into our system and have a look after. So I honestly, with that many prices in my head from different products, I'll have to refresh my memory on it. So I'll shoot everyone over the pricing on that and any ETAs as well. I think it's normally 2 or 3 days to get these in. So, but yeah, in terms of functionality, these are for your nursing homes, okay? Or your healthcare professionals. Again, they can all be provisioned via the FXS and DECT in here. So you'll see the SNOM units here, M300, M700. They're fully 3CX compatible. All right, so these are the things we're seeing a lot of, okay? And basically issues that people are coming across, when setting the systems up, or things they need to think about. If I jump back to Azure now, we have a look at the PBX Express tool. A lot of people ask me about what's the minimum instance, or what's the instance type you recommend when setting a system up, because a lot of people aren't sure, how many CPUs they need, how much RAM they need, and how that's going to work. So what I do is this. If I have a look at a system now at the moment for your small systems, this is going to be up to sort of 10 handsets. If you're using 1 vCPU, and 4 gig of RAM, you know, for your 1 to 10 handsets, okay? As you scale up, then you'll require more. Now, there's some conditions where you require more or less grunt. If they're doing call recording, okay, if they're using G729 codec, okay, which is compressed, okay, if they're doing a lot of reporting from the system, okay, all those use CPU. All of them love to use CPU. G729 is very intensive on CPU. Call recording uses more CPU. Reporting from the system uses the web service, okay, and that all needs CPU time. If you're getting up now to, you know, 20 to 50 handsets, okay, go up to, you know, 2 virtual CPUs and 8 gig of RAM, okay? Just because you double from that point forward doesn't mean you need to double the specs again. So, you know, anything up to, you know, say 150 handsets, okay, 150 to 200 handsets, you know, go for 4 CPUs, but still 8 gig of RAM's heaps, okay? Essentially, the RAM side of it's never necessarily the problem. The problem is that calls are sensitive to time, okay? The more time that goes past that the call doesn't have CPU to utilize or CPU resources, that's when you end up with call quality. So call quality, right, always relates to not enough CPU time, okay? Not enough CPU there, not enough resources available to either compress the call to basically any transcoding that's required. If you don't have the CPU, you don't have the call quality, okay? So please make sure that when you're setting a system up, you can always start small, okay, and then scale, okay? And all of these systems can do that. The cloud can do that. With our NUC situation, okay, we had some issues getting the i3 NUC. The Celeron NUC had some problems with AVX extensions, which has been fixed in Service Pack 5, okay? I've just decided to ditch every other NUC except for our i5 NUC. So if you go across to the leader shop here, I have ditched all the other NUCs and using the i5. That's not to say the Celeron doesn't work. It's not to say the i3 doesn't work. It's not to say the i7 doesn't work, but the i5 seems to fit everyone in terms of price, in terms of compatibility, and in terms of stability, okay? So if you do a search up here for Breeze at the top, once that loads up, you'll see the Breeze Connect NUC, which I have here, okay? So Breeze Connect certified NUC, that is 726X, but you get a 3-hour, 4-year on-site warranty, okay? So when it comes to phones, you need to make sure that you've got the warranty there, okay? Because people who don't have phones don't have a business, okay? So for the next 3 years, 4 hours uptime in terms of warranty, you can see for 726 for 3 years, if I do the math on that, 726 divided by 36 months is around 20 bucks a month, okay? You're gonna get out of that system under warranty. If you're going to the cloud, you're probably going to be looking at $30 to $40 a month, okay? But you don't have to manage the hardware and the power. So you're kind of splitting hairs between the two. Obviously, after 3 years, you might want to refresh. Nick, what's the response time for non-metro area warranty? You probably have to contact me with your details, Nick, so I can find out from the warehouse in your state. Whereabouts are you based? See how quick Nick can type. Outside of Brisbane. Okay, I'll contact the Brizzy office and I'll contact Nate and find out what warranty we can do where you are. Essentially, one of the guys from the leader office will come out, our tech guys, located in each state, will come out, we'll grab the NUC, fix it up, get it going, okay? So i5 7200, 4 gig of RAM, 120 gig SSD. We can customize this, but like I said before, this is pretty much your standardized system that will work best for you. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is have a look at redundancy, what modems you should be using, and all that kind of stuff. So you'll see in 3CX here at the top, a lot of people call me and they're like, "This is not working. I've got no sound. It's not happening for me." First thing I'll do on the phone with you is run the firewall check here. So as soon as I click run on that, it will check all the ports and services are running properly. This fixes 99% of problems, okay? So if you know, the SIP ALG is failing, if one of the ports is failing, your media ports are failing, this will tell me what is going on or what the issue is. You'll see here your media ports from 9000 to 9255 that it'll test, and it'll go through and do all of those. The 3CX website for the ports can be confusing, okay? And you'll notice here that I do a search for version 14 3CX ports, and you'll see this link at the top here, which I've shared with everyone and will share after the webinar. This is the best table to use to set up your port forwarding, okay? So your ports here for your web services externally, 5015, we're not forwarding, that's for the web installer, 5060 for our SIP ports, 5061 for our TLS SIP, 5090 for our tunnel, okay, and then 9000 to 10999, okay? So from Ben, does Breeze use any additional ports for RTP? We also use neural networks, and they need 10,000 to 20,000 to work properly. Haven't come across that at all, Ben. So no, I would say no. No one's had to do that. So yeah, no problems there. So basically, yeah, make sure you open these. Now for web meeting, okay, I'm not hosting this session on web meeting because I'm still waiting for our IT department to open up these ports. So you'll see here, UDP 48,000 to 65,535. These don't need to be opened as a port forward. They need to be allowed as a firewall rule. So obviously, there's a fundamental difference between the two. Firewall rule is going to allow traffic, okay, in and out, okay, of the corporate network. So, you know, can I talk out on port 80? Can I talk out on port 443? When you're talking about the port forwarding requirements, these have to be natted into the system, okay? These need to be set up as NAT forwarding, okay? NAT into the 3CX, all right, here. So these need to be set up as NAT. These bottom ports here just need to be open. The reason is this: web meeting and 3CX are two different products, okay? Web meeting is a hosted 3CX service that links in with your on-premise PBX. It's not its own, it's not part of this, okay? It's a service that they bought out and implemented in. So you'll see in here, when you look at your web meeting stuff under the conferencing, that your web meeting server, these are all the servers 3CX have got worldwide, okay? Those ports need to be open to talk to Sydney here, okay? Now, I do have a list of the servers, so you're not opening up these ports here to the world, okay? You don't want to, not allowing traffic or computers in the corporate network to talk over those ports to everywhere, because obviously that's a fairly significant port range. So I've got a list of all the 3CX web meeting servers. If you're IT sysadmin or your customers concerned about opening all of those up, which ours were, then we can basically lock that down so those ports can only talk to 3CX servers. So I'll shoot that out after the 3CX ports, okay, so that you can add that into your ACL list if you've got a UTM or corporate firewall you need to lock down. So yeah, that's pretty much the issues that we're coming across. One more thing before we sort of open up to questions is the faxing. So I know I said at the start of the webinar that I want to go through faxing and how that worked. You'll see here that with the faxing, there are fax extensions here. So I see a lot of customers trying to register an ATA to here and then routing the faxing through that way. It doesn't work properly. It's not reliable. So what I say to people to do is this: in your SIP trunk here, okay, open up here. I've got all these disabled at the moment. So these SIP trunks here, I'll enable one of these. Okay, let's go back to here. All right. So you'll see here this new site one. For my fax numbers here, like this number here, and I had multiple numbers on this trunk, so I'll add a few more in, okay? Let's say, for instance, the number ending in 215 is my fax number, okay? So I'll route that through to the fax server here. But I want to put in a Grandstream gateway. So I'm going to put in a HT812 gateway, spelled correctly. I'm going to put in a HT812 gateway. I'm going to plug that into my fax machine. So what I do in this situation is I set up 2 trunks in Breeze Connect, okay? So I go back to the Breeze portal, I go to trunks, and once I'm set up here, log back in through here. All right, give me 2 seconds. Once I'm set up here, then I can set up multiple trunks. So I'll open up this one for you. Once I've got multiple trunks, I can then set up a temporary number onto that trunk. So if I go back up to here and go to VoIP and then to trunks, let's say, for instance, I've got an unlimited 4-line trunk here, but I want one just for fax. So I'll pick the ABC childcare, okay? I'll pick the 1-line plan down the bottom, okay? I'll assign a fake or temporary number to it here, okay? And I'll add that trunk in. Once I've done that, I can then do a caller ID overstamp. So if I go back now into the trunks, okay, this particular 1-line saver plan, I will set up and I'll overstamp the normal fax number. So I'll go back to the 3CX system. That's 215 is my fax number, okay? I will then overstamp it here. So if any time that ATA calls out, it will show as that particular number, okay? And then go from there. So that is the best way to do it. So register the ATA directly with the Breeze Connect provider, and then have it routing so that the inbound faxes come via PDF, but the outbound faxes go via the ATA. Okay. Here we go. Question from Damien. Any plans to reduce the 100 number DID price? A lot of other providers generally priced around $35. So clients have gotten 100 or 200 number blocks that don't need them. Moving to Breeze Connect becomes quite expensive. Okay. My boss has a batch of about 61 of O2. Will it work with O2 in the? My boss has a. I can't understand what that says. My boss. It's a bit about. I can't understand what that says. It's okay, no problems. Darren, I'll contact you after and have a chat with you. The the 100 number blocks, we can't do any cheaper because we can't pay our partners margin on them. So at this stage, we're not looking at getting any cheaper. We're actually seeing a trend where people don't want as many numbers anymore. So people are actually porting them over and handing them back. A lot of people don't need 100 number ranges. So Telstra were, sort of forcing people to it with ISDN, but yeah, a lot of people don't need it. So that's how you get your fax working. That's the sort of way the call flow works. All right, so let's go back to the 3CX specialist group. So a lot of people have joined. I think we've got 100 and got a member here that wants to join. We've got 100 odd members here. Okay, so 115 members. So yeah, good work. It's a really great opportunity to kind of network with other people, and if you've got any questions on the weekend or late at night where you're stuck, it's a good community where everyone can help each other out and go from there. So what I'm going to do is have a look here at the winner for the Sennheiser headset. So I've got here in my office a what have I got here from Sennheiser? I've got a D10 phone wireless decked headset here, and what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make it fair, and I'm going to put everyone's name in a hat, okay? And I'm going to draw it out, okay, with our branch manager Max and get someone to film it so there's no cheating, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to film that, put it on the web after the webinar, okay? And then we can go from there. So I'll go through all of your certifications, okay? And then we'll draw it out from there. If anyone has any more questions about Breeze or 3CX, please jump on the group, become a member, and reach out to us that way. So I'll be drawing out the prizes in the next 5 minutes, and we'll post it on Facebook Live, okay, for everybody. Yeah, thanks all for joining. I'll put a copy of this webinar up on the net as well for you, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you.